Hello and welcome to the 64th Bi-Monthly Breastfeeding Coalition's webinar. I'm Kinkini Banerjee, the Senior Coalitions Relations Manager at USBC, and I'm so glad to have you join us for this session. This series is jointly hosted by CDC's Division of Nutrition, Physical Activity and Obesity and by the USBC. The webinars are held every 2 months on even-numbered months on the second Tuesday of the month from 2 to 3, and so they are lovingly known as the 222. And the purpose of this series is to bring together breastfeeding coalitions to share best practices and news and to network and collaborate on issues of national significance. All webinars are free, and coalition members, breastfeeding advocates, public health advocates from around the country can join us for these sessions. You can join the coalition's Learning Connection to get all of our announcements, and the topics and speaker details are posted 1 to 2 weeks before each session, and you can find that sign up on our website. The session details are also posted on the Learning Connection. So if you're not already a member of our Coalition Learning Connection, it just takes a few seconds. You've got to set up a very brief user account and you will be ready to go. So to streamline access, as you know, this series has been set up as a auto-register. So once you sign up for any one session, you're automatically registered for the whole series, so you don't have to do anything else. You can opt out if you want to, but if not, you will get the announcements as soon as the next topic is set up, and as well as follow-up emails with the link for where you can get the recordings and archives. So, as I said, the archives, all of these sessions are recorded and archived in our public space webpage. So you can get the link either from the confirmation email that you get, or you can go to our website. So if you go to the USBC website, www.usbreastfeeding.org, you see the tabs across the top. Click on the Coalitions tab, and if you scroll down, you'll see the CDC USBC bi-monthly webinars. That is what this session is. Click on it and it'll give you the handouts for today's session, the slides, as well as you'll see a link for all of our past sessions as well. So because we have a very large number of participants, attendees are in listen-only mode right now, and we do encourage you to ask a lot of questions. We'll be saving about 15 minutes for Q&A after the first presentation, but we ask that you submit your questions at any time during the presentation. So type your questions into the question box, and I'll show you how you can do that. On the right side of your screen, you should see a control panel. If you don't see it, it might be minimized. So click on that orange tab with the white arrow and it'll pop back out. And if you scroll below you'll see all these different tabs. And if you scroll below the audio tab, you'll see a tab for questions. Click on it and it'll open up a text box for you to type your question in. And then during the session today, if you have any audio or other tech problems, please email coalitions@usbreastfeeding.org, and our staff will be sure to help you. Okay, and just an announcement, after this session, we'll be continuing the conversation. We know that anytime we have speakers and guests come and speak about the different ventures that are happening across the country, there's a lot of processing, unpacking, learning, sharing that we could be doing post the hour. So we do have another event. It's an optional breakout discussion that will continue after this conversation. So there's a separate registration required for that, and Danae, our coalition's coordinator, has put in the link for the registration in the chat box. So if you want to join us, please do for the hour after this. And that brings me to today's session. So this, our session today is in 2 parts. The main portion is going to be I pumped here, laugh, cry, and then demand change. This is a newly launched campaign by MomsRising that sheds light on the challenges breastfeeding moms face while pumping. And so as you can tell with this, their campaign hashtag slogan that let's bring breastfeeding women out of bathroom stalls and into the pumping rooms that they deserve. The campaign features 2 30-second slots and dedicated social media channels, encouraging women to share their pumping horror stories with the campaign hashtag. So you will see videos and the social media feeds. We'll be talking about that today. We'll drive viewers to the website to learn more about pumping rights and resources with employers and advocates, and sign a petition for lawmakers. So let's find ways today how we can partner with Moms Rising to learn more about the hashtag I Pumped Here campaign and to take a stand to ensure that pumping moms everywhere have adequate spaces to pump. And after the Moms Rising presentation, Cheryl from the USBC team is going to present specifically on the component of pumping rights and experiences that happen to women at work. So I'm delighted to introduce our presenters for today. Ruth Martin, who is the National Director for Workplace Justice Campaigns at Moms Rising. Ruth has nearly 20 years of experience working in progressive politics and advocacy issues. Like I said, she currently serves as the National Director of Workplace Justice Campaigns, where she focuses on issues impacting women and families' economic security, including access to paid sick days, paid family leave, as well as equal pay issues. And I know many of our coalitions in our network are plugged into and engaged in these as well. And as many of you know, Moms Rising is a national multicultural grassroots organization advocating for family economic security policies and ending discrimination against mothers. With over 1 million members and an estimated combined blog and social media reach of 3.5 million readers, Moms Rising has been named by Forbes magazine as a top 100 website for women 4 years in a row. It was founded in 2006, and Moms Rising has so rapidly become a powerful force for women and families, raising the voices of its members online as well as on the ground to ensure that leaders in the public and private sectors address the critical concerns of all who provide care for our country's children. Before joining Moms Rising, Ruth worked at Planned Parenthood Federation of America, where she led the organization's efforts to increase the public affairs capacity of affiliates by strengthening relationships with policymakers and building a network of pro-choice and pro-family planning elected officials. And you can see she has an impressive work history. Ruth established and led new initiatives at the Women's Campaign Fund prior to that. She also worked with the People for American Ways state policy and grassroots advocacy, where she helped propel into law Minnesota's ban on voter deception practices, which was the first in the nation, and defeat restrictive voter identification measures across the country. And besides all of the advocacy, fearless advocacy that Ruth has done through her work, she's also, you can see that in her volunteer work as well. She is on the Maryland Legislative Agenda for Women Board of Directors, as well as her school PTA. She was appointed to the Montgomery County, Maryland Human Rights Committee, and as in the Human Rights Commission works to eliminate discrimination, prejudice, intolerance, bigotry on a host of issues, including housing, recreation, education. So we're very, very thrilled to have Ruth join us today. Joining Ruth will be Celie Resio, the social media director from Moms Rising. And Celie is a proud Afro-Latina committed to the well-being of mothers and children around the world. She's passionate about breastfeeding advocacy, healthcare, and racial equity for her community at large. So many of our coalition's network know Celie well. Celie is also a blogger focused on telling her story in the hopes that others find comfort and connection. She holds a degree in psychology from the Rollins College and has held positions in IT project management prior to becoming an entrepreneur and advocate. Mothering a 7-year-old girl, creating spreadsheets and pivot tables for anything worth remembering, and figuring out why the clean laundry won't automatically insert itself where it belongs rounds out Celi's current passions. And Celi, when you find out, when you can troubleshoot how to sort clean laundry automatically, I will be the first one to sign up for that webinar. So with that, I am delighted to turn it over to Ruth and Celi, and I will be introducing Cheryl when this section of the portion is over.
Okay, thank you so much, Kankini, and our friends at USBC for inviting us and the CDC to your 222 webinar. This is Ruth. We are thrilled to be spending our afternoon with all of you on the phone, and we're just getting our PowerPoint presentation loaded here. So I'm going to give, this is Ruth, like I said, just a quick overview and a little background information about iPumped and Celi's going to get into the really fun details. And then we'd be happy to take questions about iPumped. And after that, we are excited that we are going to share with you a new paid family and medical leave video, an animated video that we just released last Friday, which also lifts up the need for paid leave as it helps women's access to breastfeeding and helps women reach their breastfeeding goals. So let me start with iPumped. We were actually approached by a ad agency called Wong Duty based in Seattle and LA last fall, actually early last fall, almost a year ago. They are an award-winning ad agency. They do a lot of really creative things, and they have a lot of moms, breastfeeding moms who work there. They do some pro bono work, and they like to pick passion projects, and like so many women who had to return to work when they were still breastfeeding, they had to deal with not having really great pumping rooms in their own offices. And so they worked at a place that was, you know, very supportive of working mothers, and they actually redid pumping rooms in their own offices to be quite nice. I think you might even call them pumping palaces. They're very nice looking. And that really kind of, I think, sparks for our friends at Wong Duty, helps kind of land that recognition for them that so many people don't have adequate pumping spaces when they return to work. And so they wanted to do some pro bono work with an organization to help raise awareness about the fact that, you know, what 60% of women don't have adequate pumping space to express breast milk when they're returning to work. And so they reached out to us, and we were thrilled to make that connection. So I think that's kind of an important part of the campaign that I want to share with you is we are really excited about this, and we want to share it with everybody. But it was definitely one of those moments where an allied for-profit industry recognized the problem, saw themselves as being part of the solution, fixing it, and reached out to a nonprofit to help spread the word, and we're thrilled to partner with them. But a little bit further background on Wong Duty. They've done work like this before. They actually partnered with the American Association of University Women a couple of years ago, doing a campaign around seeing yourself on the $10 bill. So that was actually about getting women on the face of paper currency. Of course, we still don't have that, and talking about the wage gap. And they had a really successful campaign with AUW around that. And so this is our second foray into doing this kind of nonprofit advocacy-oriented work on breastfeeding. So that's a little bit of background, which I think is interesting around iPumped. And again, we are completely thrilled to be spending the afternoon with you. And I'm going to turn it over to Celi to get into the nuts and bolts and the really fun stuff about our campaign.
Yay, I get the fun work today. This is good. Thank you guys so much for joining. And like Ruth said, it's been, I think we've probably been on some kind of adrenaline rush for the last 6 months waiting, and just excited to share this with you and for this to launch. So as Ruth said, you know, we wanted to create a place where people could go to get information. So many people have no idea that, you know, 60% of working women don't have access to proper pumping facilities or adequate break time. So that's been something that time and again has come up when we're talking to our members and just our followers on social media, that they are not aware of that. So this really wanted to highlight that point and help increase, you know, breastfeeding mothers' access to adequate pumping facilities, as well as kind of, have a fun way for us to, share our hardships, right? It's just that whole idea of laugh so you don't cry. There are two spots that I will be showing you in a little while, dedicated on social media channels, and it really encourages women to share those horror stories that we are all too familiar with. Initially, when I'll share with you guys the initial outreach that we did, and that's my picture of my steering wheel, because when I was working in corporate America, I worked in a really sleek Silicon Valley type of environment with open office spaces, and there was no place for me to pump, so I would always have to walk to my car to pump. So that was part of my pumping story, and just being able to share that and let other people know that, A, they're not alone, and then just kind of sharing those tidbits and some of the anecdotes that I think we know in the breastfeeding world and share. So a large portion of the campaign is really around encouraging people to, slap, snap, and share, as the slide says. We're sending out removable stickers that say "I pump here" and have information, have the landing page. If you guys go to ipumphere.org, you'll be able to see the landing page. Really encouraging the folks to snap a picture on their phone and then share a hashtag. I was sharing with Ruth earlier today that one of the interesting things is that we're seeing some of the pictures. I actually saw my first sticker in the wild, as I like to call it. But I'm really reading a lot around just on Twitter. People might not be sharing a picture, but they're sharing the story. So definitely, I think it resonates with pumping moms and breastfeeding moms, past and present, which is great. We'll go through and show you a little bit of the spots so that you can see the way that that we approach it. And here we go. Can you guys hear that?
60% of women don't have access to proper pumping
Yes.
facilities, even these women. We're asking moms to share the most appalling, demeaning, ridiculous, unsanitary places they've had to pump. Today, it was a storage closet, bouncing on a box of old employee files with my foot against the door. In a bathroom stall of a crowded airport. I was inside a coach check, and yes, I heard people overwhelmed from the pump. Hey, photos and stories of the worst places you pumped with hashtag I pump here. I pumped, and was absolutely amazing. Together, let's bring pumping moms out of the bathroom stalls and into the pumping rooms they deserve. Visit ipumphere.org.
So that is the video that you will see on the ipumphere.org page. And over the weekend, we actually shared a little bit more information because we wanted people to really understand the fact that this is a problem, all over, right? So I want you guys to see this, and I'm sure that you guys can identify with some of these responses.
Here's what they said. Our bad, that's something bad.
Oh, technical difficulties here, you guys. Give me a sec. Zero.
Overall, there is this stuff harder than a hospital grade pump. as opposed to external stuff. Take photos of the worst places to come with hashtag iPhone. Let's bring pumping moms out of the bathroom stall and into the pumping room space.
So those are the two videos that are part of a campaign. Let's go here. And we all know, I think, I'm preaching to the choir. We all know the stats. We all understand the need for moms to be able to breastfeed for as long as they can, and obviously being able to pump at a workplace is something that's super important for many women. And that, the legislation doesn't ensure that every working mom has that now. So when you go to the site, you'll be able to find information around pumping resources, as well as we do have an action in there, so you can go ahead and sign the petition to make sure that lawmakers understand the importance of making sure that we have proper time and space to pump. So these are some of the, the needs. Like I said, you guys, I think, know most of that. I think as a byproduct of this campaign, we initially started the campaign with the idea of making sure that we have these spaces in our workplaces, but we also know that women don't just go to work. We are very mobile these days, and so we also hope to bring to light the need for spaces where women find themselves in, right? At the airports and the ballparks. So it's just become, I think, it's picked up an energy of its own. And as we've seen online in the spaces, I think a lot of our followers have just taken right to that. So we wanted to highlight, physical spaces out there. Obviously, we would love to see, as we call them, the pumping palaces, but really to focus on the fact that so many women don't have that. And just to start having a conversation about the lack of legislation and the fact that we do need to ensure that mothers feel supported when they return to work. It's part of what we like to call here at MomsRising our layer cake activism. So we want to make sure that we have these, this message out on social media. We also want to make sure that we have all the signatures, as many signatures as possible. We are still actually sending out stickers. We're kind of sending them out in waves as people sign up. And hopefully we'll be able to put together a wonderful delivery for our lawmakers so that they understand that this is important to us in the midst of everything else, right? So we wanted to share some ways that you could help. And again, please feel free to head on over to iPump here and kind of take a look around. We have some resources for moms, and we have some general information for employers as well. We can send you iPump here stickers. So if you head on over to the iPump here page, you'll see a link to where you can order stickers. If you guys need, I know for a couple of, I have a couple of people that have reached out separately. If you need multiple stickers, right now we're sending one sticker when people sign up, but feel free to contact me directly, and I'll be more than happy to share multiple stickers. We have limited amount of stickers, but I'll be more than happy to share as many as I can. We'd love to share your resources with us and use the iPump here hashtag to join the online conversation. Tell us where you pumped. Tell us where your friends pumped. Or if you're pumping now, we'd love to see pictures. And definitely, we've been, I think this is going to be the third year in a row where we're going to be holding specific chats around breastfeeding for National Breastfeeding Month in August. So we'd love for you to join us during that time, and we'll be sharing, specific topic ideas on the USBC newsletter when we get those finalized. So, use the stickers to highlight the good places that you know about. We found some really great stories, especially with women traveling and the Mama Love pods. So we'd love to see those and, share those not so good stories, because I think, we like to talk about the carrot and the stick here at MomsRising. So we like the carrots, but every once in a while we need to pull out that stick, right, and make sure that people understand that it's not all accessibility for everyone. And I've provided a link to a social media toolkit. It provides links to all of to the page as well as some social media shares if you'd like to just do a quick copy paste, some highlights as well as some images, and I think just some general information and key points that you can share with your social media followers or, you know, at events. Ruth, have I missed anything?
No, I think you covered it. I just add, in addition to the really fun videos and the petition action and an ability to get the stickers on the iPumpTR page, there's also a number of resources, both for individuals and for employers. And I think we've also linked to some guidelines about what it takes to create a pumping room, helping to hopefully emphasize to employers that these don't need to be pumping palaces. Like, it doesn't take that much to make a safe, adequate, private, clean space for women to express their breast milk at work. So we're thrilled about this project. I would love to answer any questions that you guys might have about iPumpTR, and so we can pause here and take questions.
Great. Thank you, Ruth. And Celie, a lot of questions coming out about how can they join and things. So I guess you answered them as they were coming in, especially about the social media tool. And one of the questions is there any possibility of adding stories in Spanish as well as English, of, you know, of doing that as you're collecting stories from moms?
Absolutely. Our story collections, you know, if we get stories in Spanish, we're able to handle them and certainly share them as long as they have the hashtag, and we can, you know, have it in our system. So if you see here, the page itself pulls in all the social media shares that have the hashtag happening at this point. So we'd love to see. I think a few weeks back we saw a post in French or Italian. So we welcome all the stories, and definitely making sure that that we reach the Latino community would be great.
Thank you. And as you said, you know, this is crucial. 60% of women do not have access to proper pumping facilities or adequate break times, you know, and besides the workplace, we need to ensure legislators have every working person has the right to adequate time and space to do so. Another question is that is there a specific time frame for this campaign? Are you also building up a crescendo for August for National Breastfeeding Month, as our networks, coalitions are organizing their activities over the summer and leading up to August? They wanted to know, Doreen Bailey would like to know some timelines about that.
That is a great question, and I love the use of the word crescendo. That is definitely how we are seeing this. You know, we launched the campaign a few weeks ago, like Celie said. We don't have a firm end date, but we would like to build a crescendo leading up to and incorporating World Breastfeeding Week and month in August and beyond. So what Celie was saying earlier, I think where we would love and could really use your help is getting some of these stickers out. So we've got, or just even the hashtag, or sharing that people, you know, that this tool exists for people to share their stories and also get information and take time to help create the change that we want to see by signing the petition, or even just sharing their personal story with or without the iPumpTR sticker. And so we would really love your help to help build that crescendo up. We'll continue to promote this. We will feature it in a number of tweet chats. We would love to get stickers in your hands for any kind of community events that you are doing. Or if there's some other piece of material that you would need that you would find really useful to have on hand as you're doing meetings in your communities or having community events, just let us know. We can see how we can accommodate that. You know, we know that this particular group of folks within the USBC community have really amazing ideas and are on the front lines helping so many women achieve their breastfeeding goals. And so we very much welcome your feedback on things that we can do to help make this program even more accessible. It is very social media heavy, but we also want to make it accessible you know, across as many different platforms as possible. Before I forget,
Absolutely.
one note I want to say about the stickers, though, in case, because I suspect somebody's going to ask this too, and I keep meaning to say it and I keep forgetting. They are removable stickers. And they say that on the back, too. They have some funny line about how we're not really into vandalism. So you can take your picture with your sticker, but then they are very easily removable. They're really similar to the clings that people put on cars sometimes. So they'll come right off. And it says that on the back, too. So in case anyone else out there is worried, as I know my mother was worried, you know, we're not vandalizing buildings or airport laboratories or bathroom stalls, etc. We can take the stickers right off.
And I will say, with regards to kind of building momentum, last year we, you know, had a campaign, an outreach go out leading up to August for in-district deliveries, and we shared our paid family leave and breastfeeding stories. So that's certainly something that I'm looking to possibly duplicate with this. If you guys have any in-district deliveries, we would be more than happy to pull, you know, those signatures that are coming in from the larger petition and get it in your hands so you can deliver it to the lawmakers during the month of August. I think we had probably a little bit over 900 people sign up for that last year, and we'd love to be able to do something similar this year.
Fabulous. And so very good point about the stickers. We'll be making sure that we promote this on through our you know, social media and through the networks too. And lots of comments about ideas coming in, and one is about community events, and would this be the kind of place where we could set up a selfie center for pics from the campaign, you know, as over summer, if the stickers have been distributed and people have good and bad stories, to be able to like have a little space to display those as well. So that's an idea that's shared here. Another question is, are there other collaborations that are happening? Is this happening with the big latch-on folks as well? Or, you know, and this campaign could be merged at the local level with other campaigns that they might be doing with other partners?
So this is Ruth. I would love, you know, if people want to talk about partnership possibilities, we are very interested in having those conversations. If that's something you want to talk about further, I'd love it if folks would email me at ruth@momsrising.org so that we can have the conversation with Celie, but also with Tina Sherman, who is our breastfeeding campaign director. She couldn't be on the call today because she is actually talking about paid leave with another group in person, but we want to make sure that we were looping her into that conversation, and we're certainly open to exploring it. At the moment, we aren't collaborating in a, you know, exclusive way with anybody other than Wong Duty. We've actually been talking with the ACLU Women's Rights Project about potentially trying to, you know, lift up the Frontier lawsuit that's happening around the flight attendant and the pilots who weren't unable to pump while working. And so, you know, we're exploring that. And if folks have other ideas in mind, we would love to have, you know, to talk about that a little further. We have not partnered with Latched On, but we'd love to talk about that too. So we're very open to hearing any kind of ideas or suggestions around this, and love that idea. And so just email me at ruth@momsrising.org, and I'll make sure that Tina and Celie get leaped into this so that we can, you know, really do as much as possible with these amazing suggestions.
Terrific. I think there's a pause on the questions for now, so if you want to.
Great.
Continue.
Perfect timing. Okay, so the other thing that we are super excited to share with you all, and I hope that you love it as much as we do, is that we have created a new animated video that's about 2 minutes long. We are going to attempt to show it to you on this webinar, but Celia has also included the link in the handouts that you got. So if you can't watch it with us right now, you'll be able to watch it on our Facebook page. So I think this video kind of speaks for itself. I think we'll just start it, and then I can talk a little bit more about it when the video is over.
Holly had her baby 10 days ago. She's back at work because she can't afford time off. Holly is worried about her baby and her ability to keep breastfeeding. Mateo's mom, Sheila, has cancer, but Mateo doesn't have paid family and medical leave available to help her. Tanya owns a pizza shop. She wants to offer paid leave, but it's too expensive for her small business. She wishes there was a level playing field so she could compete with bigger businesses. Holly, Mateo, and Tanya aren't alone. The United States is one of the only countries in the world with absolutely no paid family leave. The current Family and Medical Leave Act falls short. Only about 60% of working people can use it to take unpaid job-protected leave, but it doesn't help businesses, and many can't afford the unpaid time away. The good news is that there is a solution, paid family and medical leave that is accessible to all working people, not just new parents. Offers a meaningful length of leave, at least 12 weeks. It's affordable for all workers, businesses, and the government. It's broad and inclusive of all families and offers full job protection. This would help lift businesses and boost economic security, lower infant mortality, increase breastfeeding rates, and boost the long-term health of mother and child. Help close the wage gap between men and women, and boost business bottom lines. It covers employees paid while they are out, reduces turnover, increases productivity, profitability, performance, and employee morale. Paid family and medical leave insurance is a win-win-win. But watch out. Solutions that only cover new parents increase chances that employers will discriminate against moms and leave millions of families behind. Families like Mateo's who need time to care for a parent who's ill. Care is care is care. Being there for family is what matters. You shouldn't have to give up a paycheck to do it. Join us, and let's make sure no one is left behind when we fight for paid family and medical leave.
So that's our new video. We're really pleased with it. Of course, it has specific highlights about how paid family leave, access to paid family leave can help increase breastfeeding rates for women. And so we know there's a lot of talk out there about what does paid leave mean and who does it cover. And it's in the news a lot lately, which we're very, very excited about, but we wanted to create this video to help explain what it is that we're talking about at MomsRising when we're talking about paid family and medical leave. And of course, a large part of what we are talking about when we talk about it at MomsRising is about expanding access to breastfeeding and helping women reach their breastfeeding goals. So Celia's also created a beautiful social media toolkit for this too. We would love your help spreading the word with this video. We think that we think it's really great. When we made it, we had a couple of different audiences in mind, but one of the audiences we had in mind were, breastfeeding coalitions who maybe want just a little quick context-setting video that's catchy and easy to follow and can help prompt, conversations on the ground or, get good conversations going. So we hope that this video will be useful to you all. It's already been really helpful with our own members and helping explain what it is that we're talking about when we're talking about paid family and medical leave and why it's so important to new moms, to breastfeeding moms, to caregivers, to business owners, to our economy, and to families and all the different ways and shapes that they take. So that is our paid leave video, and I'm really excited to get a chance to share it with you. I'm going to stop there and happy to take any questions about the video or iPumped here.
Thanks, Ruth. Wow, that's a terrific video, and I know that many of our state coalitions are working with, state-level partners with family values at work and with MomsRising issues as well for state-level work as well as federal-level work. So this is terrific and just ties in so well to the work that we do in the field of, broader field of maternal and child health, because given our statistics, it really does show that, so many different conditions impact not just initiation, but the duration as well. So this is terrific. I'm getting comments saying, wonderful video. And now this one is, will this be accessible from your website if they go to issues or on the MomsRising website?
It is. If you go to our website right now, on the right-hand column, there's actually a picture you'll see. It looks like the video.
And that's the MomsRising website. So this video is accessible through the MomsRising website.
Yeah, there's a little picture that says working families need paid leave. If you click on that, you can see the video. It is also on our Facebook page, and it is also on our YouTube channel. So we have it in a couple different formats. If folks need to access it, if they want to share it, we can share it with you in a couple of different formats.
Fabulous. And so, and of course, this is a federal push to be working on. So stay tuned. For many of you, you are already connected with MomsRising in different ways, but we will be sure to be spreading this with our network too, and you can find the links. And Ruth, if as folks are working on the iPumpTIA campaign during summer too, if they have questions for collaboration, I'll be sure to pass on your email or Tina's email with our network, if that's okay.
That's absolutely great. And Kikini, I actually really appreciate you raising the fact that this is about federal leave. While MomsRising is supporting national policy around paid family and medical leave, this video is designed to be used for, just to lift up the need in general. So if you have a coalition that's working at the state or local level about expanding access to paid leave, this video applies too. So this is a nonpartisan video. It does not name any specific piece of legislation. It is only talking about some of the overarching kind of gold standard that we want to see, and that we as, the kind of collective of the national and state coalitions working on paid family and medical leave, some of the gold standards that we want to see when it comes to affordability, accessibility, duration, inclusion, etc. So it's not meant to be tied to any one specific piece of legislation. We hope that it is useful for folks who are working on campaigns at any level of government in the United States that want to advance paid leave with a particular focus, of course, on breastfeeding.
Fabulous. And again, thank you, Ruth and Celie, for this terrific presentation. I know I can't, and I'm sure our network is going to be accessing the iPumpTIA site to see all of that and to download the social media toolkit and to be ordering the stickers and resources and all of the other sources that you have. So we'll be promoting this. Thanks again very much. And moving on to the next segment of our session today, we have Cheryl Lebedevich from the USBC team is going to present specifically on the components of pumping rights and experiences that happen to women at work. As you know, more than half of mothers of infants are in the workplace. And given the statistics and given how our breastfeeding rates do not reflect a workplace that is supportive of mothers, and you can see that there are a score of supports that paid leave is one of them, but lactation accommodation at work really has an impact on the ability of mothers to continue breastfeeding. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl, and Cheryl is our workplace program manager and campaign manager. A second here. And she has been with the USBC since 2009. She was really our second employee after Megan Renner and did everything that and pretty much everything at USBC. Cheryl became committed to influencing the policies and systems that impact today's families as a young student and working mom, and she brought in her extensive social media communications and tech experience to the USBC team. Cheryl holds a bachelor's degree in English from the University of Illinois at Chicago. She completed an undergraduate fellowship at the Newberry Library, and as I've said, she's our campaign a genius. She's our writing genius for years. She was our work site, and Cheryl is really the nerve center in so many ways of our team here. So I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl.
Thanks, Kinkini. Thanks so much. It's really great to be here. It was really fun trying to prepare for this presentation and just knowing that Ruth and Celie were going to have just all of the background that one could possibly ask for in order to create a beautiful segue. So really appreciate all that they shared about paid leave and pumping experiences generally. I mean, we know that pumping accommodations in public spaces is a great concern. And I really hope that the I Pumped Here campaign is able to move the needle on that. I know that my sister exclusively pumped, and she faced so many challenges. And really, actually, my entree into the breastfeeding world was as a mom who pumped in a bathroom in college and got fed up and decided to shout it from the rooftops to my university. So really, really excited to see all that's coming from this. But of course, as Celie and both Ruth mentioned, pumping in the workplace is also critical. So this is really the area that I'm going to zero in on during my portion of the presentation. I'm going to share about the legal landscape surrounding breastfeeding employees, as well as some of the work that's going on to support not just employees, but also their employers. So if you could just move to the next slide, please. Thanks. So kind of zip through this. As you all know, increasing access to workplace support for breastfeeding employees it's an important part of our nation's health goals. The Surgeon General's call to action to support breastfeeding includes 20 concrete action steps that are needed to ensure that breastfeeding families have the support they need in order to be successful. And action number 14 that you can see here is entirely focused on workplace breastfeeding support. And if you move to the next slide, we also have another really important driver is Healthy People 2020. So Healthy People outlines the nation's public health goals, and it calls for an increase in the proportion of employers that have worksite lactation support programs. The data source for this target is the Employee Benefit Survey from the Society for Human Resource Management. So that being said, it is not an ideal data source. The survey has a fairly low response rate, and it's mostly focused on large employers, but it's a helpful tool that we have at our disposal to assess what's happening on the ground. And we know that it's actually showing a lot of improvement. 25% of employers reported providing an on-site lactation or mother's room in 2009 compared to 35% in 2015. So we are moving forward. Of course, our goal is 100%, but we're making progress. Next slide, please. So as the Healthy People 2020 data shows, and as we repeatedly learn from moms, their healthcare providers, campaigns like I Pumped Here, breastfeeding employees continue to face barriers in the workplace, and they're keeping them from being able to combine breastfeeding and employment. The good news, however, is that it's actually really easy to accommodate. So the Office on Women's Health hosts this incredible resource called the Supporting Nursing Moms at Work Employer Solutions resource, and it features examples of simple, cost-effective time and space solutions from employers across the country and in every industry. The resource, it's easy to search, it has tons of photos and videos, it features real-life employers and sort of walks through the experiences that they had in order to build the support systems that their employees needed. So this is a really great place to send folks who aren't sure how to accommodate an employee. And if you move to the next slide, you can see it's really easy to search by industry or the type of solution you need, whether you're looking for some examples to lift up to an employer about how they can offer break time to their breastfeeding employees or find space solutions. It's all in there. On the next slide, so even though there's all these great examples, we know it's easy to do, moms continue to face barriers. I think it was Ruth that mentioned that a recent study found that only 40% of breastfeeding employees have access to both break time and a private space to pump breast milk during the workday. And that's just not okay. some of the biggest challenges that we see in increasing access to workplace breastfeeding support are first, just that most people aren't aware of the federal and state requirements as they relate to breastfeeding employees. And many who are aware have incorrect information or are confused about what it means for them. Others just don't know how to implement support programs or even know where to turn for support and ideas and just feel kind of stuck. On this next slide, I wanted to lift up the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, which they have this really wonderful resource called the First Food Message Guide, and it really responds to those challenges. So this is based on research that they completed, and it outlines the key messages that are going to lead to a cultural shift in which breastfeeding becomes the norm. So in their introduction, you'll see that these messages work to support discussions that focus on systems of support for breastfeeding rather than individual decisions. And the guide specifically includes areas that are focused on key audiences and areas of support, which include employers and workplaces. So those are the key messages that you can see here. What these really emphasize is that complying with the law and maintaining an employee's privacy and dignity is simple, it's cost effective, and there are lots of flexible ways to provide the basics that a mom's need. And it's that providing the support is really critical. We know that many coalitions and organizations around the country that are working in this area have shared with us that the strongest framing for these messages and their experience has been, let us help you make this work for everyone. So it really is kind of lovely to bring this together with what Celia was mentioning earlier about the carrot and the stick. You really do need to create that balance and understanding who your audience is, and in all these different moments, and seeing the way in one area has a different lever for change than in a different audience. So it's a really beautiful, I think, meshing of these two ideas in this presentation. Next slide, please. So all that being said, we know that we can't just let the world know that these laws exist. We also need to let them know what it means for them. So in an effort to develop a clearer understanding of the legal landscape, the USBC was funded through a cooperative agreement with the CDC to develop an inventory and analysis of the intersection of federal and state workplace breastfeeding laws. Many of you have probably either talked to me about it in your state or heard me talking about this project. It's been very fun to work on for the last few years. For it, we worked with state breastfeeding coalitions, some of you are here today, the federal and state agencies that are charged with enforcement of each of these workplace breastfeeding laws, and other content and context experts to identify how each law, so we had to identify all the laws that exist and impact breastfeeding employees, and then identify how do each of these laws address the various components. We discovered 22 different components that are considered in federal or state law, and we wanted to really look at what are the specifics about what this means for this specific law. So this is the different components are things like space requirements, what are the break time requirements, what employees are eligible, what's the enforcing agency, how do you file a complaint, things like that. So working with all these different partners, we worked to finalize a document. So when we all reached agreement that this was accurate, it was comprehensive, the result was a guide to the rights of breastfeeding employees for that state. It's been exciting, but it's also been slow and complex. It's a lot of partners and it's a lot of nuance. Policy analysis is never easy. So I just wanted to lift up a big shout out to the Center for Work-Life Law at the University of California. They have really been incredible partners through this process, as well as Sarah Walls from the USBC team. She has literally built dozens upon dozens of web pages for this project and has been absolutely wonderful through every step. So on the next slide, we'll dig into what we found. So there are 2 federal laws that address breastfeeding employees. It's the Federal Break Time for Nursing Mothers Provision and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. There are also 28 states, DC, Guam, and Puerto Rico have relevant legislation. I know, I think Nevada just passed another bill in the last week too, so these numbers are going to continue to change. So it was a lot to look at. We had a lot of different laws that we really wanted to sit down and analyze. And if next slide, please. You'll see that these laws really comprise a very wide spectrum, but they land in two broad categories that you'll see listed here. So the first requires workplace accommodations. This is typically break time and or private space for employees to pump during the workday. And the second broad category prohibits discrimination. And if you move to the next slide, we break it down even further. So this is not something that you should feel like you need to know or understand or internalize. It's really just to demonstrate it's really complex. We had identified 8 different categories of legislation, many of which the phrasing seems very similar, but they mean actually very different things. Some explicitly address breastfeeding, others address pregnancy, childbirth, and related medical conditions. Some specifically require accommodations. Others require that affected employees be treated the same as others not so affected. It's very confusing. So if you feel confused and a little bit overwhelmed through this process, it's because that's a very reasonable response. It's a very complex thing. Next slide, please. So it's messy, and figuring out the legal landscape may feel like a heavy lift, but we really hope that through this project, we're making sure that folks don't feel like they're totally on their own. Next slide. So with that, I wanted to provide a really brief summary of the 2 federal laws, but I know that we're cutting it a little bit close on time, so you're going to see this here in the slides that you can download. But the main takeaway is, Kinkini, if you move forward to the one that says bringing it together. The main thing to take away is, like I said, there's the Break Time for Nursing Mothers Law, there's Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, and there's all these state level laws. So the main thing is if an employee is covered by more than one law, and those laws address the same component, the employee is entitled to the strongest protection available. The USBC published an online guide called What You Need to Know About the Break Time for Nursing Mothers Law. And this is a tool built to help identify the rights of breastfeeding employees and as well as the obligations of their employers under the federal break time law. And we've been through this workplace law analysis project. We've been building on this resource. So you can look at this second link, usbreastfeeding.org/workplace guide, and this is where you're going to find guides to the rights of breastfeeding employees in your state. So these live within the online guide. They include a full breakdown of the break time for nursing mothers provision of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and any state laws that are applicable. We have finalized 16 of the guides. There are a few remaining that we need to publish in the next coming weeks, so about the second half of those. But those resources are available. If there's information that you need right now, reach out to me. I'm available to talk it out and point and direct you to the information that we have so far. Again, all of this information has been vetted by the State Breastfeeding Coalition and the agencies charged with enforcement. Next slide, please. So even with all of this information at your fingertips, there's still going to be questions. Even after going through this process with all of these states, I have questions that come into USBC that I cannot answer. But luckily, there are many organizations out there who offer support and one-on-one assistance to employees, employers, the folks that are trying to guide them through this journey. So as part of this project, we also developed the resource and referral guide for breastfeeding employees and their employers. This document outlines key groups working in this area, the specific types of support that they provide, and information on how to contact them. My hope is that this document is going to make it easier for organizations who are fielding questions like you all do, to more appropriately triage and not have to really work so hard to know where to send somebody. Next slide. So that was a little bit of a brief overview, but I am very excited to share that together with the Center for Work-Life Law, next month the USBC is going to host a webinar training on the legal landscape surrounding breastfeeding employees. So it's really gonna, this was the 10-minute version, but we're gonna have this training coming up. It's gonna be an opportunity to discuss what state and federal laws require with lawyers and legal experts. And you'll learn how the new guides to the rights of breastfeeding employees in each state can be brought together with existing resources to increase access to workplace breastfeeding support. We really want it to be a tool to help move that needle in a big way. We want participants to leave this training with a toolkit to help them respond to questions and offer support to breastfeeding employees and their employers, and clarity about where they can turn for additional support when it's needed. So keep an eye on your inbox for registration information. It's going to be in mid-July. We're still nailing down a date, but I certainly hope you'll join us. Next, I think I just have one more, actually. If you could skip the next slide and go to the one that says workplace support, community of practice, Kinkini, then I'm wrapping up, I promise. So if any of this is of interest to you, then I want to invite anyone here to join the Workplace Support State Community of Practice. This is a new thing we're doing, and really what exactly the community of practice does is going to develop organically according to the needs and interests of who decides to join. So it could be that we develop this into becoming just a simple listserv for quick communication, sharing, networking, or it could be a forum for collaborative work together, really whatever the wherever the energies and the needs are. So if you're interested, if any of this sounds interesting to you, please go to this link and sign up. I look forward to working with you. Thanks so much.
Fabulous, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And as Cheryl said, stay tuned for the announcement that'll have for the webinar session specifically on this. You'll get a lot of details there. And thank you so much, Ruth and Celie, for a fantastic presentation. This is as our network of coalitions ramp up their activities, community advocacy at the state level and federal level over summer leading up to August and throughout the year. Actually, we really need to be working to reduce barriers for women, and that means there's so many of the others. So I hope you will all visit the MomsRising website in addition to the iPump Tier campaign as well, and see of the many ways in which we could be partnering on the issues. So thanks again very, very much, and to our presenters today and to you, our webinar participants, for all you do to improve the lives of women, children, and families. And we really hope that these webinar sessions bring you ideas for collaborative action. So please complete the webinar evaluation. Let us know how we're doing. We have many questions today that have been unanswered, and comments and ideas, and we'll be sure to get to as many questions as we can and float it on the learning community. And if you join the support community of practice, and we'll be continuing the conversation in many different spaces. So you can also get a certificate of attendance when you complete the evaluation. So goodbye for now, and join us for the next session if you can, and I look forward to having you all for our next webinar. Thank you all.